right, Busy, take it away.
All right, so welcome to our live today. We are the founders of HGAB Studios, and maybe we should introduce ourselves for those of us that don't know who we are. So I'm Biscayne. I am a co-founder of HGAB Studios, and I am the director of operations here.
Hi, guys. My name is Kendrick. I am the co-founder of HGAB Studios, and I am the CEO of our company.
Hi guys, my name is Chris. I am a co-founder of HGAB Studios, and I am a marketing director of HGAB.
Hi guys, I'm Madi. I'm also one of the co-founders of HGAB Studios, and I am the art director here at HGAB Studios.
Very nice.
Awesome, guys. Wow.
All right, cool. So let's get started. So today we're going to talk about team. And when you start on a journey towards anything, or when you start a business or just like a new hobby or any kind of endeavor, you rarely go on that journey by yourself. I feel like you can only get so far by yourself. And so today we're going to be discussing the importance of having a team, or why you should have a team, and maybe like the pros and cons of having a team and how you can manage them. So obviously HGAB Studios was founded by the four of us that are sitting here today. And we've learned a lot during our journey. We don't always get along, and we don't always know the answers to everything, and it's always been kind of like a learning experience. So we want to share some of that knowledge with you guys today, so you guys can maybe avoid some of the roadblocks and mistakes that we ran into during our journey. It's been 8 years already that we've been on this journey, so I think if anything, you can get a few takeaways from this live session. So let's get started. I think, Madi, you had the first question, right?
Yeah, so this question goes out. If anyone wants to obviously answer and have their own opinions, please feel free. But this is kind of a question that we wanted to maybe use to start a conversation. So what are your thoughts on establishing a team and working in a team?
Wow, that's a good one. Yeah, I can answer that one. So definitely, depending on what you guys want to accomplish, I definitely think it's important to eventually at some level start to bring on a team if you're looking to scale, right? Because there's only enough that you can do as an individual. So it's important that you start to seek out other individuals that might be interested in the same things that you're interested in, and potentially bring them on board to help you achieve the same common goal.
For sure.
Right.
I think a good place, because sometimes I feel like you're kind of lost and you don't know how to even meet your team or like start building a team. I think a good way of going about that is just networking and attending events that have something to do in your field, right? Or whatever it is that you're trying to start.
Yep.
I think working in a team, I think it's so vital. And for me, it's worked out the best. Like I feel like you have a soundboard, a bouncing board to actually do a lot of these things that are kind of scary, especially when you're starting out a business and stuff like that. I mean, like us, like we didn't know, like none of us went to school for business. We all had our individual strengths, and, you learn, like, I guess we were street smart, if you will. And having a team allowed you to be like, hey, is this a good idea? Should we do this? And it kind of helps lighten the load and the responsibility too. You know what I mean? Like sometimes when you're by yourself, you're starting your own project, your own business, you have to like just rest on your own instincts. And that's kind of scary. And I feel like if anything, with a team, you take less falls. You feel me? Because you have people backing you up to
and so many perspectives.
Right. And a lot. And not to say that you won't make any like mistakes or you won't fail, because yes, within a business, you will fail no matter what. It's how you get back up and stuff like that. But with a team, it lightens the load. It's not a big of a blow.
Right.
And I personally have really benefited from being in a team. I think I've not only grown business-wise, but even just from, like you said, like everyone's strength and stuff like that. I've like learned a lot from each of you. And I think it's made us strong individually as well.
But I feel like we still do that with each other.
I do that all the time.
Our strengths or our fields are so different. Like you're art director and I'm operations. Literally, it could not be a further end of the spectrum. But I feel like you're always like, Biz, what do you think about this? And I'll be like, Madi, what do you think if we do stuff like this? And you'll give me your opinion.
Well, it's because I think we have the same goal, which I think has been one of the reasons why our business has been so successful in our eyes, because we have the same like dream, the same motive. So even though you're not a studied graphic designer and stuff like that, you know how you want it to look too. You want it to feel good. You want it to look good because you want it to be good for our business.
Yeah.
And so I love it. I mean, I always say you're my favorite co-art director,
Right.
you know, because it's good. I mean, again, I doubt myself all the time. Dude, I have imposter syndrome. And that is real. But having you guys to be like, guys, is this good? And when you guys are like, yeah, Mari, yeah, bro, it's so good. Then I'll be like, okay, it's good, it's good. Like I said, it lightens the load and it's not as harsh of a blow when you fail or when you feel like you're doubting yourself.
Yeah, I think it's definitely also like a skill to master too, working in a team.
Right.
And
true.
just being able to have that dynamic of hearing people's opinions and seeing what it is that you're accomplishing. I was listening to a podcast with Mr. Beast, a really big like YouTuber, and he was talking about, he also had like I believe 3 other partners when he was starting the Mr. Beast brand. And he was saying that, you know, they were working 12-hour days where they were creating content and were seeing what they were doing right, what they were doing wrong. And having 4 different people meant that 4 different people were making 4 different mistakes that then that second person was not going to make that mistake. So they were learning on such a fast curve.
Yeah,
and that's why their videos were able to like pop off so much in the beginning, because they were each making different mistakes, but then the other person was learning from that person's mistake. So I was learning from everybody's mistakes and then just continuing on that ball. So I think that that's one of those good takeaways too, is it's a certain skill to have, and also it helps like speed things up for sure.
I think on the other side of the coin, right? Like, is there any drawbacks from being in a team? Or like you said, there is a learning curve. So obviously sometimes if you don't play well with others or like you don't know how to collaborate, it could be a drawback. But I personally think for the most part, it's better to work in a team because you can't be everywhere at once, right? So having all these like tentacles and arms to help you out, in my opinion, is a good thing.
Oh, totally. I see there could be some drawbacks if there isn't any chemistry.
Okay.
Feel me? Or you guys or not everyone has the same goals or the same motives or the same work ethic. Mm-hmm. That's where I see having a team could be a drawback because they could be holding you back from actually progressing.
Okay.
You know, so that's the only time. The wrong team, right? Yeah. The wrong team could really make or break you.
I think if you're going to be in a team, everyone needs to bring something to the table.
Right.
You know, you can't just be relying on somebody else and riding somebody else's coattails. Right. I think you definitely need to bring something to the table, and work ethic, that sweat equity is definitely important.
For sure.
Yeah, I see it happen so often. I feel like a lot of teams, the reason it doesn't work out is because one person feels like they're pulling all the weight and then the other one isn't. So
right.
Yeah. And then communication.
Yeah.
Yes,
when that happens, where you feel like you're putting in too much work and the other person's not really putting in as much work, I definitely think it's important to communicate with your team member or the other individual, and basically solidify your expectations towards working with that
contracts.
person. Yeah.
or sometimes also like the effort that the other person is maybe putting is not something that is so in the forefront of the business that is very easy to see. Like, I'm not the person that's creating all of the social media content, but what happens with, and I kind of give this example as far as the website and technology behind that is happening. Sometimes you see that as such an easy thing that, I'm just doing this or making that happen. My email works every single day that I pull it up, or the website is always up, or the cameras are always on, right? So it's just about communicating that, because maybe that person doesn't understand also
the back end of what you're doing.
Right, yeah, those skills that you are bringing, right? But it comes with that communication. It's like, hey, like, I may not be creating TikTok content, right? Every single day, but I am taking care of all of this mainframe in the back end of things also, that maybe you don't see. But it's a lot about communication.
Contract.
Right, and contracts.
Cool. What's the next question?
It's for you, Busy.
Ooh. I think I went over this already, what the benefits of working in a team are.
Yeah, for sure.
The next one, how do I find or build my team at the beginning stages of my business?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah. I can go on it just a little bit. I mentioned this before, I feel like the best way to find your team is to find like-minded people, right? And through that process, kind of vet them. You know, if if you're a photographer or you are a stylist or you want to make apparel, surround yourself with other people that are making apparel, seamstress. If you're a photographer, surround yourself with models, other photographers. I think by surrounding yourself with like-minded people, you'll end up finding people who will eventually have the same dream as you do, or people that you can hire later to be part of your team. You know, I think that's, at least for us, I know that all four of us were creatives.
Yeah.
Right. And we became friends first before we, went on this journey together. Right. But I knew no matter what that I wanted to be your friend, right? Before business partners. And I know that like doesn't always pan out that way. Like you don't always start out as friends. Like that's the ideal. But at least we were surrounded by the same kind of people. We even found out that we had similar friends and stuff like that. And I think even that is just a credit to how being surrounded by like-minded people really helps.
Like-minded and sometimes similar circumstances help too.
Yeah.
Because maybe I don't know, if you start a business with someone who's supported by their parents or doesn't really need money, yet you're out there hustling and you're hungry.
That's such a good point.
Maybe the dynamic won't work as well. And then you might feel some kind of way about it. I don't know. I think it's very situational.
You're so right. I never thought about that. Yeah, you're right. Because if someone doesn't have the same hustle as you do.
Right. Or even time, if they have a day job and they're working all day and you have all day to work on your craft and you, I don't know.
That's why I think it's important before you jump into bed with somebody full force, we're going to start a business and everything, is potentially do smaller projects with this person to kind of see how they work and what their work ethic is like and all that good stuff. And if you're vibing with that person on that one particular project, do another project. And then do another project before you say, hey, we're going to full-blown start.
50-50 split.
Yeah, so definitely vet whoever you think is going to be part of your squad forever if this company goes well or this project goes well. Because the way we started was we all came together. We didn't even have, we had dreams of making money and doing something really cool, but we didn't have the money to literally pay ourselves to create this project. So we were just all right, we're going to put in all this sweat equity, in which we did. We all did it really well together and we coexisted together. And if you don't have funds to pay somebody to be a part of your team, then definitely find somebody that you can coexist and just mesh really well and they just get it,
Yeah.
Yeah, because I definitely you mentioned we were all creatives. We all met each other because we were creatives. But in the beginning, it wasn't really like that, or at least I wasn't like that in the beginning. I can say I will consider myself now a creative. I like to create content. I like to create stuff. But before that, it wasn't like that. So that wasn't one of the factors that made me join the team and brought me into the team. Yeah,
but you're a creative, believe it or not. You're a musician is what I'm saying, though.
Through music, but not through creating content, which is kind of what we do now. So, but when I was when we were starting, one of the things that aligned a lot with all of us was ethics. Our
That's
ethics,
true.
our morals, what do we stand for? What do I see in you guys besides the skills that we have? Whatever the skills are the skills, right? But what about our morals, ethics, and that really I think aligned me to you guys. Not necessarily in we're creatives, because back then I literally had nothing to do with shooting content or podcasting or anything like that, right? When we met, but I still wasn't able to align with you guys because of those our beliefs, our ethics,
and that's why companies you have business ethics. You have it's a big pillar of a lot of companies. So that's a really good point too.
Yeah.
Ethics and morals.
Right.
That align with yours.
Right, that align with yours. Yeah. I think that's very important because that's kind of the basics of life, right? Or being a human. That's kind of the basis of it. So if you align in those things, everything else should be fine. The rest is just the most awesome stuff, right? The skills that you have, the knowledge that you bring, So, I definitely believe that.
Cool.
Next
all right.
Question.
Our next. This is a good one. You asked this one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Should I bring on a partner or a co-founder?
Let's define those terms.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I believe when we were speaking a little bit about this, because it is a little bit of a similar definition, but I feel that when it comes to co-founders, there are people that are from the beginning, right? That are in the inception of the idea, that are like in there for that inception of the idea, and partners are people that are coming later, that are bringing some value or that are bringing their value to the company, and they become partners of the company. But yeah, co-founders definitely are the ones that are in the inception.
Founder comes from foundation, right? So it's from the very beginning. So is it right for everyone to bring on a co-founder or a partner? Like, I guess a co-founder, you don't really have a choice. You either like start a business with someone from the beginning. It happens maybe by accident, or it happens, organically. But then partners, I mean, it's a tricky situation, because you can always hire a staff and a team, right? That's different. But giving someone a piece of your baby,
right? I feel like it comes also from the value that person is bringing. True. Like that weighs a lot when it comes into thinking about it being a partner, right? Because if you're a founder, you're a founder, right? You're kind of there. Look at Facebook and what happened with them. They were stuck with that.
shade.
Right? So sorry, Facebook. I don't mean to shade. Please don't shut down our live. But when it comes into a partner, I would say one of the things that I look at is the value, right? If you are bringing any value, then or a lot of value to it, then yes, a partner means a lot. When it's not as much value, but something that or something that anybody can do, right? I feel like, okay, then that's somebody maybe you hire as an employee. Or something like that. A partner is somebody that you wouldn't be able to live without, right? Or I wouldn't be able to live without.
Right.
And also, like, we've discussed this in the past, too, that, like, being a partner sounds ideal. Like, oh, I just got made partner, right? Like, that's ideal. That's awesome. But a partner shares in the losses of the company as well as the gains, right? So it has to be someone that, hey, if we go bankrupt or if some shit happens, you need to be willing to like take those L's with me. And it's not just about the good times, right? It's about the bad times, or like, the hard times too.
For sure.
Definitely when you're doing a project, it's all about the end goal, right? Like you're thinking about where this project is going to go, whether it's a business or whatever. And you definitely have to find the path of least resistance to get to that destination. And if you see people that bring value to that destination, then definitely it's a good idea to possibly partner with these people to be able to, move a little bit quicker than what you would normally move at your own pace. And I think we were talking about also the importance of what their knowledge is, or your limit to your knowledge, right? Because you only know so much. But if you find somebody that that can take you to the next level, then definitely it might be a good idea to entertain the idea of bringing on a partner.
Definitely. And we've actually, so all four of us are co-founders, but we're also partners on top of that.
Correct.
So, I know we established the difference between co-founders and partners, but co-founders can turn into partners, because there's a lot of co-founders like Facebook, I'm sure in the beginning of it.
Their part.
Yeah, they're I'm a co-founder, but that's it. That's where I stay.
Right.
I think we've been able to dance that really well, where we started as co-founders at something. And I mean, HGAB has evolved into many things. I mean, it's always been kind of the same thing, but has evolved through the years. And I think all four of us, we started as co-founders, but have become partners in this business. And as you always say, we're become partners in business and life.
Yeah, true.
So that's really cool how we've been able to navigate that, really.
With the same vision.
Yeah.
That's also kind of interesting that you said that, because we're not only partners to make our company better, we're partners at the end of the day, and we started all of this at the end of the day to make our lives better.
Right.
So it's not, that's what separates us a little bit. It's like we're not just here for the business, we're here for our lives and like the future of our lives. So and we think about those things whenever we make personal decisions. We think about everybody else before we think just about ourselves. So that's another super important thing to keep in mind when taking on a partner, is like, how does this person think about life, and how do they think about me in relations to their life? So super important.
Before you guys move on, this brings up a really good question that Chris Diaz has. So
Okay.
Shout
out Chris Diaz.
Yeah.
Said, what are some of the challenges you guys face when you have a separate friendship and business, when tough decisions need to be made?
Awesome. That's great.
Ooh.
That's a really good
It's a
one.
really good question.
Well,
I think
Kendrick fights with everyone. So.
well, okay, I always say this, and I think it's because it's just the way that we are. You don't take things personally. Business is business. Friendship is friendship. I think we've been able to do this properly, and obviously with practice and stuff like that.
Yes.
Mind you, we were building our business and lived together in the same place. So
I'm still a little sensitive, so
Right.
it does
I mean-
come with practice. That is 100% true.
100%. But I think we've all learned that, okay, what was said during business, okay, cool. It was said there. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Then like 5 minutes later, hey, what's for dinner? Like it needs to be like that. I think you need to set really hard boundaries when it comes to business and friendship. Like I said, it hasn't been the easiest thing, but we've been able to do it. And I mean, 8 years later, we're still here, and we will have a fight about a marketing content. And I promise you, 5 minutes later, we're like, yo, did you see that TikTok? It was hilarious. Like, it just comes natural. And I think it eases the tension, to be honest,
Yeah.
when you have those boundaries. Because without those boundaries, it can get kind of, it rolls over, right?
Yeah.
That tension will roll over.
Yeah.
And then it starts tainting the business.
And the
That
friendship.
and the friendship. And then it becomes like a resentful thing, and you'll remember that thing. You need to let it go. Stop
Yeah.
taking things personally, and in every aspect of your life, don't take things personally.
Yeah, and disagreements in business are good to help the business evolve. So if you're
Totally.
always agreeing and staying stagnant, it's not a good thing.
I agree.
So,
You have to be an individual that can separate both those things, right? Mari and I are actually the ones that butt heads the
Yeah,
most.
we do.
And it's funny because we'll get into it and it'll be like this really heavy discussion and all this stuff, and she'll say her part and I'll say my part, and then like she says, like after the meeting's done, it's like, all right, what are we gonna get for lunch?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's what Chris said also. It's like what these people's morals and like just the way that they are is the reason why our glue is so like sticky. I guess
Very
in a
sticky
sense.
glue.
We will get into arguments about the business, and it's good. It's good to disagree sometimes because you obviously want to make things better and move quicker, and it's important to separate. Hey, like, all right, we had that discussion. That's fine. All right.
Yeah,
Move on
like
to
I
the next.
also feel like it's what I was talking about before, the human basics, I feel like one of the basics that I saw in us that kind of got me to be in the team was that respect.
Respect, right.
When you're dealing with anything with respect, no matter if it's in business, in a friendship, in a conversation that you're having with somebody on the street, there could be opposing points. And that shouldn't be an issue, but if there's respect, you should be fine. So I would CMD I would tell you that respect is a very important aspect that helps us in those moments where we have those discussions.
I want to add one more, which is being open-minded to what the other person is saying, because sometimes you're so set on your idea and so set on your way of doing things that you're already coming at it with like, no, like I don't even want to hear what this person is telling me.
Right.
But I think there's always room for compromise, and maybe if you take a little bit of what this person is saying and actually like sit on it for a little bit, maybe you don't have to give an answer right away or decide it right away, and just kind of be open to their feedback and then maybe bounce it off someone else or whatever. I think that's super important. So respect, open-mindedness, and setting
Boundaries.
boundaries.
Wow.
And intentions, like or at least setting what you want or expecting from these other individuals. Like it's important. Just say it.
Yeah.
Don't expect that this
Communication,
person's gonna do what you
That's a
want
good
them to do.
point.
Like
That's a good
literally
point.
say, hey, this is what I want you to do. And it's important communication.
Yeah.
You want to take on the next question?
Yeah, let's do it.
It's gonna be
That was a really good question, by the way.
No, yeah.
I think like Chris also works with people that are his friends, so I'm
Yes.
sure it happens a lot.
Okay, so the next question is, when is the right time to hire team members? This is
that's a really good one.
So when is the right time to hire a staff, basically, or like to pay someone to do
Right.
work for you?
Yeah.
So we all know, because we started from nothing, that it's difficult to hire people when you're starting off, because there's no funds to physically hire these people. And that's why you kind of take the role of like doing everything yourself, right? But that will only get you so far because there's only one of you. And I feel like the right time to hire someone is when you're basically leaving money on the table because you're only one person. So when you've gotten your business or your project to the level where things are coming in, but you can't fulfill the needs of your clients or whatever it is, then I definitely think that that's the right time to start looking for a team member. So, like I said, you don't leave money on the table or miss any opportunities.
It's an investment on yourself
Right.
at the end of the day to bring in someone.
It's also reflecting, like, besides just like what you said, like leaving money on the table, it's actually being like, okay, I can't do it all. Like, am I burning myself out?
True.
Like, wait, like, okay, besides the fact that I'm leaving money on the table, like, okay, what kind of quality of life am I having?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, yeah, I might not make as much money if I'm not doing it by myself and I have to hire someone else to help me, but do I have a better quality of life?
Right.
Do I actually have time to think of ideas and make my business better because now I don't have to worry about XYZ?
Or maybe there's someone that can do it better. Like if it's finance, like I don't know everything about finance. Maybe I should hire a CFO or someone to manage my accounts. And
I think that was a game changer for us.
Yeah.
Honestly, like we were so used to being like, oh, we're the four, like we got this, like only us four can do it.
Four.
Yeah, the core four, like we're a fucking Power Ranger, all together, or Transformer, like I always say. But we realize, okay, so maybe we don't know the best about finances, or like we don't know the most, and
no one really gravitated towards that either. And
Correct,
there is some kind of knowledge that you need.
Correct. And so I think we had to make the decision and be like, okay, guys, it's time. We need it.
And obviously, the best time to hire someone is when you have the funds to do so.
Right.
True.
So whether you built your business where it's generating income and now you can definitely hire someone, or you took out a loan because you know that, if you brought somebody in, that person's going to, double your profits or whatever, or you got some sort of funding from somebody, obviously you need money to pay or hire someone. So definitely when you have funds.
Yeah. And just the experience and the knowledge that people out there have, even for the industry that you're in, it's a lot more than what you have. So having somebody that has been there already, done it too, can bring a lot of benefit to your company for sure. Like I said, it happened to us with our finances. We have somebody, Andres. Shout out to Andres.
Andres.
He had the experience in finances for a long time. So for him, bringing him in was kind of like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Obviously, because we did have the funds, but it was a no-brainer to be able to bring him in to be able to help us in that aspect of our business that we did not have all the knowledge of, right? Yeah.
The cool thing about bringing Andres in was the fact that he didn't care about getting paid.
Right. That also was another awesome factor about it. But
yeah, he
believed in us.
Because he saw what we were doing and what we were all about, and there's people out there that generally just want to be a part of something, and money, it's not an issue. Obviously, at the beginning, through the stages, you want to be able to pay everybody involved in the project. But I really like the fact that he was like, hey, listen, I don't care. Like, this is what I want to do. I think you guys are amazing. I want to help grow this thing, and let's go. So it was very nice of him to be able to say those things and take L's along with us, and still be here, part of the crew, like, let's go. So it was very nice.
I also know another instant where we realized we needed to hire a team, but not because we just realized we needed it. Like we were, if you've been to our studios, we have studio managers and assistants. We were the studio managers and assistant and marketing team and finance, and we were just doing it all, but we weren't doing it to the best of our ability. Like Casey Neistat says, instead of doing 10 things mediocre, do one thing but do it really, really well. Yep. And I think we realize, okay, we're not scaling the way that we want to scale. We're wearing ourselves thin, and I think we decided, okay, I think it's time we hire a studio manager. And the cool thing was that since we did it ourselves, we knew exactly how we wanted to be done. Right. And we kind of were our own guinea pigs.
Right.
So that's I think a really good advice too. Right. Like when you're actually hiring on a team, what's really cool is that since you've already done it, when you hire a team, you know exactly how to train them and you know exactly how you want it done. And then I think that will allow less stress on you and allow you to scale.
Some
sure.
people also make themselves like indispensable. Like I want to
Yeah.
give a shout out to Franny and Clyde behind the cameras.
Yeah.
Because they were the
Media
type of
team.
people that started and we were like, okay, no matter what, we can't lose them because they're
Totally.
so valuable. So you make it work and you almost like end up working harder because you know the value, the immense value that they bring to the team, and obviously it would hurt to lose them. So.
Especially like Franny, our first ever intern,
I
and still with us.
know.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
Kendrick still has her saved on his phone as Franny intern.
Franny intern. It will never change.
Shout out.
It's nostalgia.
Nostalgic.
Okay.
Okay,
right.
I'll ask
We're back.
again. What advice would you give to entrepreneurs that rather do things on their own?
Don't.
I've met many entrepreneurs that feel like they need to do everything on their own, and you only end up limiting yourself, right? Because, like you said, lifestyle is very important when it comes to running and operating a business, and the reasons why you start a business. And once you get to the point where you're doing it all, if something happens to you, what do you think is going to happen to the entire business? Right? So you want to be able to build something where if you take a step back because something happens, whether it be whatever, you want this thing to continue to run and operate on its own. Otherwise, you're just, I don't want to say wasting your time, but you're putting all of your eggs in one basket. And if the basket goes, there goes the
I think
egg.
that's also like having control issues and like not being able to kind of let go and trust people to like do a job or like, you know, execute as well as you can.
Right. I definitely think that in the beginning, I think it's not bad that you want to start on your own, because I know trusting, I mean, we covered this before, and like, you know, you don't want to marry someone right off the bat. You
Right.
want to date kind of thing. And I can see that, but you can't stay that way.
Yeah.
That's where I feel like you'll limit yourself and your business, and you won't thrive. You'll always be surviving.
Yeah.
You'll just be like, okay, I got to do everything myself. It's just too much.
That's
It's too much.
stressful.
We all obviously forget that this thing takes on a life of its own as well.
Yeah.
And it's its own entity. I mean, even when you go ahead and apply to incorporate yourself, they give you an EIN number, which is basically a social security number for your business. So this thing spawns and takes on a life of its own. And when you start to even hire team members, and you're doing most of the work, you have to really see if you do something or if you take a step back, what's going to happen to the rest of the team, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's cool to do things on your own and be your own leader, but definitely you need to bring people on if you want to scale and continue to run this thing.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like there's a lot of like ego at play sometimes with wanting to do things by yourself. And sometimes that ego gets crushed, you know, just because the entrepreneurial like path is such a heavy path that sometimes it just scrambles people by themselves. But obviously, like, it's always been said, like, strength in numbers, you know?
Yep.
Things were built, like Rome and all of that was built with numbers, the pyramids with numbers, right? So maybe not the pyramids, right? Because conspiracy theories. out there, right?
Aliens.
That's also with aliens.
A team. It doesn't
Right, but
matter
with
who
the
it
team.
is.
Yeah, exactly.
As
They
long as the
still have
job gets
people
done.
together with it. So yeah, like I said, it is a heavy path, right? And then it's a heavy path to walk alone and to try to do alone. So if you can build your team, secure your badass team, and tackle
And get to
anything. Oh yes. Okay. So here's the last question that we have.
Okay, this one's good.
Alrighty. So how do you keep your team motivated?
Ooh.
Awesome.
That's a really good one.
Money. I'm just kidding.
Very important one.
I definitely think there's multiple things that can keep a team motivated. The first one that comes to mind for me is just having a nice environment to work in. You know, we have to understand that sometimes our team members spend most of their days in this environment. And if it's an environment that you can't be yourself in, or you don't feel like you're growing in, then it's going to be detrimental towards the business at the end of the day, because if there's no team, there's no business. So definitely a nice environment, you know, and we've all been in the situation where the higher ups don't necessarily give us the ability to have a nice environment, and we also know what happens in that circumstance. You either end up leaving or the whole project goes to shit, basically.
Right. And just to take on that a little bit too, kind of leadership and kind of setting a right example about that too makes a big difference, at least for me. You know, having like leaders instead of bosses is a very important thing. It's something that there's so many memes out there in the internet about that, like boss versus leader. But what a leader does, they inspire by just being themselves, you know, by just being who they are, and what they bring to the table, and their attitude when they come into work, and what they're saying, and the knowledge that they bring, the research that they do. I feel like if you lead by example, you are giving them that motivation just by being who you are, right?
Yeah, I like that. Lead by example. That's a good one.
And then dun, money.
Oh, yeah, I'm like,
Busy said it.
Yeah,
I was
for
kind of
sure.
kidding,
Money.
but I guess not.
Yeah, you know.
Well, something also that motivates you, and I guess this goes with leading by example, is like being organized, right? No one likes to work in a messy environment, or feel like when you feel like your bosses don't have their shit together or your leaders don't have their shit together, then it's like stressful when you feel like you can do things better, or like they just don't care.
yeah.
You know, and that even gets represented in like the cleanliness of a space, and like you could just tell. So working in an environment like that,
Right.
I think that's just up on all the points you guys said.
Because it is about, I do want you to do the job better than I do, right? But what am I showing you besides the job, right? Like those human basics again.
Right.
What am I showing you there that then is giving you that motivation to get
And the
that jump done?
structure,
And the structure,
you know, and the
right?
protocols, like
Right.
give them the tools to do the job that they need to do, so that they perform well, and then they feel like they succeeded. Because no one wants to feel like a failure, right?
Correct. Spoken like a true intellectual.
Oh,
Oh my
thank
God.
you. You're making me blush.
I mean, going back what you were saying, Ken, money obviously is good, but not just the money, it's the benefits, right? Because let's think about like an entrepreneur. You might not have the money to pay, let's say, your first 2 employees.
Yeah.
Right? But what benefits can you give them? And I'm not talking about like insurance benefits or like 401k. Like I'm talking about like what can you give them that they could benefit from besides money? I can say that here when we were first hiring, we probably didn't have the like, you know, the funds that we wanted to actually pay our studio managers and our assistants. But hey, if you work for us, we can pay you this, but you get to work you get to work on your personal stuff and use the studios for free. Like we were trying to give them benefits and showing them like, look, we care. If we could, we would, but here's another way that you could benefit from working with us and our team and being part of our family and stuff. And I hate saying that because they say it's kind of toxic to kind of say like, oh, we're part of the family and stuff like that. But you know,
get cut from the family.
right. Like not like that, but you know, we want our staff, or you want your team to feel like they can come here and feel welcome, like they would in their family, in their home.
Right.
And it's cool because we created that benefit of using the studios and using the equipment and all that stuff at the very beginning of our business when we were bringing on team members, and it rolled over until now. So even you know our current and team members and those future team members, our whole thing will always be, hey, you can use the facilities for free. You can use the equipment that we have here for free. And what other things can we give you or provide you for you to do your own personal projects and just be excited about your craft at the end of the day. So I think that's really nice that we still do that.
Ooh.
Cool. All right, guys, that was the last question for us. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Woo!
Hard.
So that was the last questions that we had for ourselves, but now we want to open the floor so you guys can ask us questions if you guys are out there, and we're super excited to take them. There's no such thing as a dumb question, so you know now is the time to ask.
Does it have to do with team?
We already have 2 questions.
Awesome.
Okay.
Let's go.
Cool.
Wow.
So the first one is from Andre.
Okay.
Perfect.
He's asking, what's your take on the growth of the podcast industry, and did that play a major part in starting your business?
That's a really
Think
great
Chris
question.
should
Really,
answer
really
that
good
Yeah,
question.
Chris will answer that, but it's a really good
Take it
question.
away.
So about, I would say 8-7 years ago, we were gifted like a set of microphones. I was very new to podcasting too, and we began having a podcast room, and the growth that I have seen from this in this industry from when we were given those microphones to now is insane.
Yeah.
You know, it's becoming one of the leading media that people are
Outlets.
consuming now, right? When people are talking about learning something, when people are talking about how they get their news, how they get information now, a lot of them are talking about podcasting, and definitely the new I would say podcast 2.0 setup that we did after kind of definitely made us grow so much too, you know.
Well, when we started, we didn't even have a podcast studio for rent.
No, yeah.
And you were like, hey, I think this would bring some extra
Yeah.
stream of revenue. And now it does just as well and is booked just as often, if not more, than some of our other photo video studios.
Right.
So,
And the progress of the podcast room too, and it was just audio before, but then the industry added a video element to podcasting, which made
Right.
it even bigger now. And then so we had to also make moves to be able to add our video aspect to it too. So yes, we have seen the growth.
And
We
it has
love
played a
the
huge
growth,
role.
and it played a huge role in HGAB Studios for sure. Not just allowing people to come and shoot photography and video here in our studios, but also be able to create podcasts for sure.
good one.
That was a
Andre.
good one, Andre.
Go, Andre.
So the next question is once again from our famous Chris Diaz.
Ooh.
Yes, go, Chris. Snaps for Chris.
He's asking, can you share some insight on the importance of legal contracts with partnerships, especially when you go into business with friends?
Okay, I'm gonna restate the question because I think it's important to hear it. So can you state the importance about legal binding contracts when creating a partnership, basically?
Friends.
With friends. Yeah. Okay, cool. So if you guys don't mind, I'll jump
Go
into
ahead.
this one.
For sure.
So I definitely think it's very important when you decide and finally choose the humans that you're gonna start a path with and create something with, to have everything down on a piece of paper. And legal contracts, they vary from situation to situation. And I think it's important, no matter what situation, even if you don't even have a lawyer or anything, grab a piece of paper, write down what your partnership is going to look like, and just sign it. After that, you can get it notarized or whatever, but just make it a legal contract. I always have this thing where I say that contracts don't mean anything. And we obviously know that contracts are very important when it comes to doing anything. But at the end of the day, it's important that the people that you do choose to be a part of your entity, contract or no contract, that wholeheartedly you believe in that person to respect what the overall goal and gains are for your project.
And I think they can always be revamped too. You can always add things to the contract, take things out, but it's always a good, place to like refer to if there's ever a discussion, or if you ever feel like maybe someone isn't pulling their weight. You can go back to, okay, what was everyone's responsibilities? What did we agree to from the beginning? And literally go bullet point by bullet point and be like, okay, I feel like this isn't getting done. Why? Or how can it be done better? Or maybe you're like, oh, well, I don't really feel like this is part of my duties anymore. So you can revamp the contract as many times as you need to. But again, it's a good place to always go back to.
Yeah, definitely do agree on that too. And it's kind of like a place to set your boundaries too from the beginning, right?
Boundaries and expectations.
Boundaries and expectations, because then those things don't really need to be talked about so much. I feel like contracts are something that you make a contract, kind of put it away, and you kind of, but because you know that those questions are already answered there. So if that question comes up again, you already know the answer. It's in the contract, right? That's what it is. Like, or you already know the expectations. You already know them. They're in the contract, right? But you have to set them at some point, right? And you have to communicate with everybody at some point, and everybody has to agree with them. That's why you sign your contract, right? And then everybody agrees, and everybody knows what happens. What I mean when I think you say that maybe they don't matter is that you can break a contract, right? Contracts can break, and you can leave a contract, right? So you can do that, but if you don't set them from the beginning and you don't have those expectations and those boundaries and what the contracts are about, then for sure you're not going to be in a good place. But if you already have those answers in the contract, you should be fine.
You can breathe easier.
And
You can breathe
depending where you are in your business, and the contracts are only going to get bigger, because I remember we revamped our contracts at one point, and it even spoke about what would happen if one of us would die.
Right.
And that's something that we've never would have thought about when we started our first contract. That we were just like, hey, we're going to do this together and we're going to split everything equally and it's going to be awesome. Let's all sign it here.
And then we got to that part of the contract.
No, and then
we were like,
evolved to get to that to that bigger, lengthy
Right.
contract that it states, hey, if one of you guys dies, this is what the next course of action is going to be. And we were kind of like, whoa.
This
is serious.
It was serious. yeah.
God.
Yeah, it was. That was serious.
Got real.
So yeah, definitely contracts are very important. Someone's word is great, but a piece of paper signed is even better. Yay!
That was a very serious one. You know?
Yeah, we're a lot of wooers.
Yeah,
we woo
yeah,
all the
I'm a
time.
woo girl,
Yeah,
for
we're a woo
sure.
girl.
So the next question is by Fly Guy Clyde.
Yeah.
His question is: once you've established your business, how do you go about expanding your team in order to expand your business?
Cool.
One more time?
Yeah,
Sorry?
can you repeat that?
Once you've established your business, how do you go about expanding your team in order to expand your business?
Okay, so
what is the
once you've expanded your business, how do you go about expanding your team to then expand your business? That's actually a really great question.
Training.
Definitely, if you've expanded your business to a certain level, one of the most important things that you need to kind of train your new up and coming team members is the values that business has. Right. So that's why you see a lot of businesses have like mantras, and they have like their
Manifesto.
their manifestos and all kinds of stuff. It's because at the beginning, you know, you hold certain values to how you want to treat your clients, how you want the company to run, and how you want to treat your employees. So it's important that as you're scaling your business and scaling your team, everybody is on the same page when it comes to the values of the business
And company culture too.
and the culture. Yeah, that's I mean culture as well.
Because
You know?
some companies' company culture is more apparent than others, right? Like Vans or whatever. You know what the company
Right.
culture is in that business, but then there's more corporate situations where maybe it's a different kind of culture, and that definitely has to like go through the generations of the company for many years to come, because then it's a totally different company, right?
Right. Yeah, because I definitely think that maybe sometimes people think about skills as a very important thing to bring in, but remember, skills can always be taught,
Right.
and you can always learn skills. But those morals, those ethics, those basics, that is something that cannot be taught. You either have that culture or you don't, or you can mold them into that culture, right?
Yeah.
But they have to have a little bit of that already in them, right?
Right.
Like I said, the skills are important, you know, because skills
Yeah.
are important, your knowledge is important, but that's something that, like I said, could be taught or they can learn to while working here or working for any company.
Yeah. I also think being very clear about what the expectations of that team member, you know, will have. Or what you expect them to do. I think we've learned also like creating protocols. It's not as easy as like, oh, we're looking for someone, and
Right.
then you just hire them and then expect them to
And
figure
we'll
it out
just teach
themselves.
them.
Yeah, or we'll teach
But
them,
how?
or they'll figure it out. I think you need to be very clear about what you want this person to do and how you want them to do it, and then kind of have that stated in the contracts, or come up with like a training Bible, if you will. We have one. You know, we've evolved how we've hired people from, like, let's say, you know, 7 years ago to now. You know, I think it's made our team that much more solid, because the people who come in, they know what to expect, one, with our company culture and like our values and stuff like that, but they also know what the role entails.
Right.
They know how we want them to do it.
Right.
And then it just helps scale the business even better, because everyone's working efficiently like that. They're not just there
And
like,
everyone's on the same page. You're not getting
Correct.
mixed signals like, oh,
Correct,
but they
correct.
taught me how to do it this way, and then, but like, you know, that,
right. But if you're clear as an entrepreneur, you have to figure out these things by yourself, right? Like, I think we don't really go into that, like how we had to figure things out on our own. And by hiring a team, like, there was a lot of trial and error in that too. Like, it wasn't just like, oh, we hired our first studio manager and it's perfect, you know? I think we've learned that having a training book, actually set up time for that, expectations, like it has to be all written. Don't just think that, just don't have expectations without actually stating them, because a lot of people will interpret that differently. You know, a lot of times with us, like we never like, oh, fuck, we never thought about that. Okay, that's going to go in the Bible. Like we got to write that down. Yeah, you know, common sense isn't common, you know, and a lot of people come in with different expectations and think, oh, I'll do it this way. But like, no, I need you to do it this way because this is the way that it's been proven to work. And this is the way that it's going to help scale our business. It's going to make your life easier. It's going to make my life easier. And we're going to be all happy.
So I actually think that that's one of the coolest things that we've done, is basically writing down everything that we do and how we do it. And we do call it the Bible. And it's cool because at the end of the day, if somebody has a question, or even if we lose, like, oh, how is it that we do this? We can always go back there and open it up and read it and be like, okay, this is how we do it. And you can grab that blueprint and replicate it anywhere. Yeah. You know, so definitely, if you think that you want to scale your business and you want to start bringing on more people, I suggest you sit down and write protocols like there's no tomorrow. From beginning all the way to end. And even when you get lost in the sauce, you can always go back there and open it up, and it's right there for you. And it continues to evolve and change 100%. As the business changes and evolves, and many things happen. Things get added, things get taken out, but there's always something to go back to. So very important.
Good question.
So the final question
is
from Alex Likes What?
Woo girls.
So her question is, what work habits promote team spirit at HGAB? Regular meetings, team bonding activities, etc.
That's important.
Our team bonding is really fun.
So
wait. Let's unpack that.
Let's restate the question. Yeah. So Alex asked, what team bonding activities, right? What team bonding? What work habits promote team spirit? That's actually a really cool question. Okay.
I think meetings is one of them. Like constant meetings. I know it sounds annoying, right? Like, oh my God, another meeting. But like meetings are important. And then also make them like lighthearted at times. You know, like it's not just, okay, is everyone ready? Everyone shut the fuck up. And it's like, you know, like, let's do this. It's like, no, okay, how was your weekend? Oh my God, did you see this TikTok? Okay, now let's get into work. Like, let's, to make sure that everyone's on the same page. And that I think helps morale, because one, you're not lost. Two, oh my God, my leaders or my bosses care about like me and like what's happening within my life. And then, okay, now everyone's on the same page. Now, what was said to me, everyone else heard it, and we're all on the same page. You know what's happening. You know what's happening. You know what's happening. Right. So I love the meetings. The meetings, I think, is a big habit for spirit.
And growth.
We've been doing a meeting at the beginning of the week and then one to finish off the week, and I think that has worked beautifully, because we can kind of
that's a general team meeting, because there's also team meetings between each department, right? So the media team will have their own meeting separately. The finance team will have their own meeting separately. So at the end of the day, it's important that we meet, right? Because you have goals. And those big goals have little goals. And if you're not constantly on tap to like, hey, what have you done to accomplish a small goal? What have you done? Then things just kind of get fizzled out. Yeah. And it's important to meet and continue to knock out those smaller goals, and make sure that your team is actually knocking out those smaller goals to get to the bigger end result.
Yeah, and stay accountable.
Yeah,
I think that really helps, like, the spirit of like the company and the team is that like everyone's keeping each other accountable.
Yeah, and you're seeing things actually get checked off the to-do list, right?
We use Asana. Asana sponsor us.
Please do.
But like there's nothing more satisfying. Like I love that little unicorn flying over when I've completed something. And I've mentioned this like recently that I love when we're having a meeting or I get to check off something from Asana, and I know that because I did my job, now my friend can do, or like not my friend, but you know, like my coworker, my friend, the person who I see every other day for meetings, can do now their part, and vice versa. Like for me, it boosts my morale knowing that, okay, I finished what I had to do. Like I feel accomplished, and now Chris can take over his part. And then after Chris is done with his part, then like Kendra can do his, and then so on and so forth. So I think that
It's
that kind of habit.
satisfying.
That's
Very
that's honestly
satisfying.
the only way I've seen where large teams can coexist and work together.
Yeah.
If they're constantly meeting and constantly setting goals for themselves and constantly crushing those goals, definitely meeting is a must. And sometimes it's another meeting, another meeting. But yeah, it's another meeting because in those meetings, things pop up that you would have never imagined. Solutions happen, problems happen, and you just gotta keep going with it.
But the
So-
question was about spirit.
Yes.
Right.
No, I do
Fun
think
stuff.
Then
spirit.
our staff events, that always have
Well, that's
world
another thing.
famous Cheetah Poppy DJ
Yes.
in there.
Well, like I
So-
said, meeting was one of them.
For sure.
Quarterly meetings or like fun activities
Right.
disguised as quarterly meetings.
Well, we always something we always do is we have like a photo shoot party, which I'm sure you guys have seen, but just for the staff. And it's cool because we all get to do something together that's related to what we do every day, but we get to work together as a team and we trade off. Like at one point, I'll be holding the camera and shooting, or I'll be in front of it and I'll be modeling, or I'll be like helping adjust a light, and we all kind of get to work together in that setting that we're in every day, but just more lighthearted and fun and not so much about work.
Right, and we're able to like kind of use the studio. People get used to the equipment in the studio as well too. They're able to
something new.
learn how to shoot. Maybe they had never, some of the staff they had never shot with studio lighting before, and then we're able to through those events kind of like walk them through how to do it and stuff. It's very fun.
I look forward to those.
I love those.
And our team dynamic is a little bit different because we are somewhat of a little family. And, if there's a Sunday football game, we all get together, as
we spend a lot
crew.
of time
Yeah,
together.
we do spend a lot of time.
If it's somebody's birthday, if no matter what's happening, we all, just kind of get together after work and just kind of hang out, and just be regular humans,
Yeah, like don't do things that are like work related, and I
Yeah.
think that's nice because it kind of lessens the tension, and then you create some kind of camaraderie. When you come back into work, and it's like I think I love it. It just creates a nice environment for all of us. I also think another way that another habit that we have that promotes spirit is that we really applaud and support our team with their own personal projects. It's beautiful to see really like someone comes here, Franny or Steph, like I have a photo shoot idea, and we're like, oh my God, tell us about it. What do you want to do? Oh my God, it would be really cool. Why don't you use this weird prop that we have in the back that like we've never used, but you should definitely use it. I think that promotes the spirit in here that like, wow, my bosses don't just care about like, the work that gets done, but like they care about me. Like they have so much empathy and they really care about me as a person and my creative projects. And I think that really helps the spirit of this place because we're constantly creating, we're constantly pushing growth in each and every single person in here.
Yeah.
This is a good one. That was a good question. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Alex.
You're
Thanks,
beautiful
Alex.
and you're awesome.
Aww.
That was it, but I do have some commentary from HGAB Studios.
Okay.
He says team building activities are a key to a successful team.
Yes.
Yes.
You know it, Jay.
Go Jay.
And then Chris Diaz says the Fantastic Four.
Aw.
Yay.
We love you, Chris.
For real.
All right, guys, we just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with us and join our live Q&A. We really appreciate your time, and I just want to personally say that I love each and every one of you people that is sitting here. If it wasn't for you guys, I would not be in the place where I am today. I'm so grateful. The best thing that's ever happened to me was actually meeting these humans and having them have the respect to work with me because I know I'm not easy. But I love you guys.
And it's Maddie's birthday tomorrow.
Woo!
Scorpio
Maddie's
season.
birthday.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll definitely piggyback that. I'm really grateful for the life we've gotten to live. Like, what an adventure,
Yes.
right? And like what's to come too. I think it's besides everything that we spoke about today, I think an element that we don't really talk about is the magic that really exists between the four of us. And it's almost like it's not tangible, but it exists within the four of us, and it's really beautiful. We've really created a family within the four of us, and we're just really excited that we get to show you guys our dream and our efforts and a little bit of our magic with you guys.
Yeah.
And I hate all of you.
Yes.
Yeah, well, Busy
Busy
is-
always hates everybody. But yeah, I definitely love all of you guys. I couldn't imagine a better team. And I also appreciate everybody that always gives us so many compliments. And when we accomplish something, you guys are always out there to just shower us with support and shower us with great comments. We love you guys too.
And definitely thank you, and we love you to our extended team, which keep this place up and running every single day.
Name them.
They work hard every single day.
Steph, Sal, Abe, Franny, Clyde, and Andres.
And
anyone?
Senya.
Senya's our cleaning lady. If you guys don't know, she's amazing.
Day one.
Everybody is an integral part of this team, so I think it's super, super cool.
Nice. Alrighty, let's end it with a 1, 2, 3 teamwork.
Okay, cool.
Ready? 1, 2, 3 teamwork.